Hi everyone in English 1301, it's Dr. E and I'm here with your week 10 instructional video. I apologize for posting this a bit late. It's been an interesting break and return, dealing with family loss and things like that. But I hope you had a wonderful break and you come back feeling very rejuvenated and feeling like that was a nice little reset before we dive back into the remainder of the semester, which has a tendency to move pretty quickly in some classes. So hopefully you kind of have a view of what is left in all of your classes and you can kind of schedule your time to account for that. So let me just go ahead and hit D2L to walk through where to go and what to do. So if we go to the content area, we can take a look at week 10 and that module. So this week you do have two things you want to read. The first is going to be an article by Amy Choi, and it's entitled What Americans Can Learn from Other Food Cultures. So that's really getting into our discussions of food and how that relates to identity and ourselves and the people around us, that kind of thing. It's really interesting. And what I really want you to focus on as you read that is the way that Choi utilizes sources to support her ideas, right? So when we're thinking about academic writing, that's the foundation of a lot of the writing that we do in college, is utilizing sources, utilizing that research to support our ideas, and Choi does that really well. You're also going to read an article about writing. So this is by Stedman and it's entitled Annoying Ways People Use Sources. So this is getting into ideas of MLA and how to use sources, right? So Stedman is walking through those things that people do that are, I mean, he says annoying, but I would say confusing. A lot of the ideas that he works to walk through in the article are things that can be really confusing to readers, and helping to provide more context for the research is really the key to moving forward and writing in that way. All right, so you're watching the instructional video. There is a written response that's due on Sunday, but I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. There is a pack-back discussion, and that's due on Thursday. And then on Sunday, you have these items. You will want to respond to 2 people in the pack-back discussion, and then there is the participation quiz. I'm going to talk about an adjustment to the written response due date in just a moment. So I'm going to walk through where to go and what to do. And so in the review area, we do have the written response template, which I urge you to use, as well as the guidelines. It's always helpful to review those before something is due. And then you have the article, and you'll see that this is a pretty brief article that has it's chock full of information. It has images. It's a pretty easy read. It is from the TED website. And then if you look at Stedman's article, it's a little bit longer, but it's because he is really walking through examples of those annoyances or ways that readers can be confused with research. But he writes it in, I think, what is a very approachable way. So if we are struggling with MLA and how to kind of organically or easily include research in our writing, Stedman's ideas, I think, are very helpful. And every semester, students let me know that it just is a compelling read in terms of trying to help going forward using research. Okay. So I'm going to jump down here. So we do have that pack-back discussion. So if you click on the link right here, it will take you there. And I just want to offer, good grief, every time, offer a quick reminder to make sure that you're putting the week number before your question. And I have pinned a question here that you can utilize as an example. So you can ask a new question and that will start. Remember to pay attention to this right-hand side. The more you do on this side to account for any errors or issues, the better off your grade will be. I hope you're enjoying Packback. I really am, and we've been told that there will be a blackout period with Packback because of purchasing issues, but that should not affect us during the semester, thank goodness. But if you see that in future classes, just know that that will be resolved eventually. All right, and then we also have the week 10 quiz, and I put the written response down here because I have adjusted the due date a bit because I want you to have time. I know we're on the heels of previously submitting a written response, and this is just because you know what the expectations are, you know what you're doing in a lot of ways. You should feel that way, at least in our class, because you've worked really hard to get to this point. But also because it's just, I feel a little bit of extra time is helpful so that you can really plan out that writing. Some of you have talked about your writing process, and that it may be useful to have a bit more time to go back the next day to look at your work, or, if that's not part of your process, then take this opportunity to make it part of your process. Please don't be that person who waits until the last minute, even with an extended deadline. I know some of you are going to do it anyway, but I'm just putting it out there, something to avoid. All right, you're going to relate that to the written response to what Americans can learn from other food cultures, right? So it's Amy Choi's article. And I've put a link here for the MLA video and a link here for a document. And this is all available if you go to the table of contents and go into that MLA module. These are all items that are available, okay? But I'm just putting them here as a kind of reminder that it's just for this especially is going to be very helpful because Amy Choi uses a lot of research, and so we need to know how to properly quote and cite work from her text. This is something people misquote quite a bit because they fail to credit the correct person because she's utilizing a lot of sources. So they'll credit Choi for something she did not say because it's something that she's actually quoting. It'll make sense when you read it. All right, so for this response, we're going to work for 3 paragraphs, and we're going to move into this idea of summarizing, analyzing, and connecting, so SAC. So that first paragraph is going to be you summarizing her ideas, and remember that this is just the facts. Summary, if you need to, go back to our chapter on summarizing. So ask yourself, what is Choi's argument? Right? What overall is her argument or thesis? And also, what are her main ideas? This is not about your opinions. This is not about you saying, oh, Choi is a really great article. She writes really well. That's not summarizing. Summarizing is just the facts, just the the main ideas from her. This will help you not only keep Choi in mind if you ask these questions, so that you keep her in mind and you give her credit throughout the paragraph. So you say, Choi's argument is this. Choi states this. We're continuously giving credit because a lot of us in our writing have the habit of saying, well, the article says this. The article states that, and that's natural. I do that in my writing as well, but in my revision process, I go in and I remember there's an author behind this. We need to give that author credit. That helps our readers and our audience understand that those ideas are not ours, right? And we're giving credit to the actual person. Okay. So you can give her credit, but it'll also aid in ensuring you pick and choose the most important points asking these questions. I put here a hint to consider how an author or speaker organizes ideas. How are they structured? Are there sections? Are there topics, subtopics, images? That can really hint as to what the main ideas are. Just saying. All right, after the summary paragraph, you're going to offer a paragraph of analysis. So remember, this is beyond summary. This is not you just repeating Choi's ideas. This is you picking something that you believe is important, relevant, interesting. So questions that can help guide you with this are, what is important about Choi's article? What is interesting? What is effective about Choi's ideas or writing? So if you think it's really interesting the way she structures her ideas, then write about that. If you think that there's one particular idea that is really useful, pick up on that. But it is analysis. This is not just you basing everything on opinion, right? You're coming back to the facts that she is laying out as she sees them. You'll want to incorporate at least one quote from Choi's article. This is where Stedman really comes in to help and offer guidance. So you want to avoid the annoyances that he lays out. I will be looking for this in the grading. So we're going for 6 to 7 sentences because remember, you need to introduce and explain your quotes. I put here it's really important to give credit to the right person in Choi's work because she is utilizing so much research. This is where that MLA video and the examples in this document are helpful because I go through how to properly do that. Your final paragraph is going to connect Choi's work to either your own experiences if you want to share those, like how is food community to you or how is food survival to you. This will make sense when you read it. Or to something outside of our course related to food. So if you would prefer not to share any of your own experiences or you just don't think of anything that comes to mind, how is it important, in other ways? How are her ideas kind of encouraging change? Is she urging us to do something? Is she wanting us to talk to someone, to read something, to research something? Are you getting the urge to do any of that based on your reading? Again, support your ideas with at least one quote. And then please use the template. And so I've pushed the due date to April 2nd, so you have an additional week to complete this only if you absolutely need it. So please remember that if you would like to get this off your plate, out of the way because you have other things going on in school, please feel free to do so. That is absolutely just extra time should you need it, because you know, having the pack back, having 2 readings, having a kind of week like this, you know, even though we're not having a necessarily easy week next week, you have a little bit of extra time should you need it. And as always, if you want to reach out and ask questions in the Q&A discussion board area, that's wonderful. If you need to talk to me directly, we can set up a time to meet via WebEx for office hours, or you can certainly send me an email. But I do hope that y'all are doing well, feel a bit rested, and are coming back strong for the remainder of the semester. Good luck this week.